Hey there everyone, my name is Cyan and welcome to my channel. So as you may know, I make a few videos about the college application process and of my life as a freshman this past year. Now as a rising sophomore, I feel like I'm in a very interesting position where I can talk both about the experience as a freshman going into college, as well as still remembering a lot of bits and pieces from how I applied. So this video is for those of you who are going into your senior year of high school and working on your application. More specifically, your college essay. It's about 650 words. It can be pretty much about any topic that you choose, and it is your place to shine. I think it is one of the most important parts of your application, and that's why we're going to dive right into the top 5 steps into writing your essay. So I had a lot of fun writing my Common App essay just because it allowed me to do a lot of personal reflection. So the way I went into writing my application is that the entirety of it is pretty much a curation of who you are and what your life has been up to this point. That's why these steps are geared towards you being able to figure out what qualities are the most important to you and how to express them in the way that is unique to you. So the first step, I actually think I heard once from a Khan Academy video, and it is to take the Myers Briggs personality test. Now bear with me, this is super quick and easy. You can just go to 16personalities.com and answer a few questions, and it'll give you a detailed description of what your personality is like, and it is scarily accurate, at least for me. So I took it, and I am an INTJ, and I've took it multiple times, and it's always been the same. So I don't know, it was really exciting to see, and it's also exciting to see if you change or shift. But this leads us into step 2. And step 2 is to take a look at the list of personality traits. And these include strengths, weaknesses, how you work as a team, how you interact with others. And it's so interesting because for this step, what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to look through the strengths and you're going to think about the ones that most directly apply to you. Each of these traits really comes with such a detailed description of what they are. I could definitely pinpoint moments in my life where they directly applied to an activity that I was doing, or how I presented myself, or how I took on a challenge. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a note of this list and write down your top 3 or top 5 most applicable traits, the ones that you think represent you the best, and make a list of that. And then what I want you to do is I want you to associate each of those traits to a couple of moments in your life where you displayed them. And this will lead us into step 3. So for step 3, what you're going to do is you're going to choose some of those moments and circle them or highlight them, and you're going to flesh out those stories. You're going to completely build and replace yourself into the situation and just think about what you were thinking, how you were interacting, what it felt like. Very, very specific sensing terms, and then you're going to work on fleshing out the story. And hopefully this one that you've chosen, or the couple of that you've chosen, display a few of those traits that we just made a list of. And for these steps, I would love for you to write them down just so that you don't lose your train of thought and you have everything documented. Because when you're going to end up writing your essay, you're definitely going to want to have that specific word that really represented you, like in the moment when you're thinking about it. And I guarantee that even if you think you're going to remember, there are little things that come up in your mind that just kind of pop out of nowhere, and you're going to want to be able to refer back to them. So for step 4, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to definitely choose one of those moments that sticks out to you the most, that you feel the most connection to, that you feel most strongly displays your personality and who you are and how you handle situations or attack challenges. And it doesn't have to be essay format. At this point, I just want you to go and either write it out, type it out, however you write your essays. Focus on that anecdote. Focus on being in the moment of that thing, because what is so important about this is to show and not tell. I'm sure that you've heard this billions of times in your English classes, but what I think is very effective about the essay is that it needs to transport the reader into your life. And the essays that I've read that are the most provocative and that really engage the admissions officer that reads it are the ones that display imagery, that place them into your shoes, that makes the reader feel like they have been transported into your universe. And once you've done that, you definitely have all of the control. That's why I think that there are so many tips that say to have a very interesting hook, or to be a little bit quirky and a little bit interesting. But if that isn't authentic to you, then there are so many ways to make it provocative by using imagery, by using showing and not telling. Instead of like saying, maybe for example, like, oh, I used to have stage fright. You could place yourself into the situation where you're waiting to go on stage and you're standing in the back and your hands are clammy and you're about to go up the steps and you hear the roar of the audience and you don't know what's going on and you're standing there. Like, what does that feel like? You know, like, what does stage fright feel like versus I have stage fright? It's so intriguing, and I think that literally any situation can be written to be engaging and to be authentic to you, to how you write and how you experience things. And what's so interesting and so valuable about this exercise is that this doesn't limit you to just your one big essay, your big 650 word essay. The stories and the traits that you display, you can definitely apply to other essays in a smaller scale, even in the additional information section. And that's exactly what I did as well. All right, so we're about to go into step 5. At this point, you have your list of qualities, you have a couple of little stories that you still have on deck, but you aren't necessarily fleshing out. And you've got your one story that you've at this point fleshed out. You've kind of written into your own universe, and it's pretty much an entire anecdote at this point. So what do you do now? You're going to want to put your story into a beginning, middle, and end type of format, kind of like with where we started, what we learned in the middle, and then how you apply that back into the situation. Having that type of format is going to be very effective. Here's a situation, or here is a setting, and here's a story, and here is how I've learned, and here is how I think or how I view myself, and here's how that applies back into that situation. And I really just love writing in that way because it's so rewarding and it's so self-reflective. So those are the 5 steps, and now I'm just gonna go into a quick debrief of each of those steps using myself as kind of an example. So when I took the Myers Briggs personality test, my personality type was the INTJ, and I still am. So a couple of the traits that came along with that were being imaginative, open-minded, independent, and decisive. So those are definitely traits that I wanted to show throughout my application. Alongside that, there are also moments of my life and things that I've done, activities that I think are very important, that aren't necessarily academic type things or activities that can be written in that like resume format. For example, I was playing tennis, I do art, and I do videos, and I do music, all of those things, and those are all reflected in my application. But what isn't is my identity as a multicultural person, or how much I travel around the world just to explore different cultures, and how much that ties back into my own story and my own life, and separating that from when I travel for art shows and stuff like that, because that's also important, but I was able to convey the importance of art in other sections, and so I definitely wanted to stay away from having that be my only focus. And it's very interesting because I think the college application process at this point definitely focused on students having a very solid niche versus being like very multidisciplinary. But in the same sense, it's important that you hone on that fact and show that you're very proficient in the thing that you do, but also have other traits and also do other things. And so for me, I knew that my one thing was art and creating sculptures and all these other shows and stuff like that. But I knew that there was a lot more to who I was than just the one thing and just the athletics. I was also playing tennis internationally and on my team, and so that was another big thing. But both of those had been addressed earlier, so I didn't want to address it another time. So I wanted to use my essay to focus on a part that I wasn't able to put into academic senses or into activity senses. And so that was my multicultural heritage and traveling all over the world for as long as I can remember. And so then I used that to tie back into my traits. So I kind of took those concepts and put it into the metaphor of an airplane landing into a new city. The idea was that as a multicultural person, there are a lot of presumptions and stereotypes that are brought. And so that's looking at someone from afar, from a place of distance. I wanted to show the curiosity. That was one of the traits. I kind of wrote it as being in the airplane right now, looking out of my window, but also looking around at all the different people that are on the airplane. They all have stories as to why they want to be in that city. And they all have stories about what their culture is and why they're in the place that they are right now. And I said I was always curious about other people's stories, because if I'm interested in what they're putting out and what they're doing, then in return, I get to share my own story. That was shown in the airplane landing, as you get closer to the city, you start seeing nuances in the streets, and you can see little cars, and you can see buildings, and you can start to see culture, and you start to see the intricacies of a person, just as you see the intricacies of the city as you land. By using the steps that I just laid out to you, the rest of the story kind of flowed naturally. So if you want to read my entire Common App essay, I definitely have a video about that. I'll put it up here in the corner. And of course, other steps after you've come up with the idea are equally important, like writing multiple drafts, writing a few different essays, like maybe write 2 or 3 essays and then decide on one. So you can apply the same techniques a few times and then choose your favorite essay out of that. And then you're going to want to go in and you're going to want to revise it a heck of a lot of times. So the process is a long one, but if you very much feel confident that it displays who you are, then you're going to feel good about submitting it. And I think that's the end goal. Because what that does is it gives you the opportunity to have put yourself and have displayed who you are in the most true terms. No matter what schools you get into, you know that at least were able to have an opportunity to see the real you. Because admissions officers, there's at least one person who reads your entire application. So what I noticed is that the programs that I was getting into were absolutely the programs that were most suited to me. So what I hope you get out of this video is absolutely the self-reflection part, being able to look at yourself and decide what you want the admissions officer to see about you, what you want them to know as a full person. Our job as students is to bring that paper to life. Even if you don't get into the school that you're applying for, you can be confident that the schools that you do get into know who you are and know that it is the best fit for you. So that's basically what I wanted to say with this video. I hope the tips helped you. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. I have my email in the description. I have my Instagram, and I finally got my Twitter back up and running. The handle is just the same as my Instagram, so that will be in the description box as well. All right, if you liked, please comment and subscribe, just because it very much helps me to be able to make more videos and be able to get people to see my videos. If you give it a like, if you put a comment in the description, it'll tell me what you want to see. I'll be able to make more stuff, and then we will be sharing a lot of information and sharing what you want to really hear. I think that's really valuable. So please do that. I will see you all very soon. I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching.